All right, welcome back to the show. At this time, we are joined by Ahmad Black. Ahmad was an All American at the University of Florida. He continued his career in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now he's the co host of the Stadium and Gale podcast. Welcome to the show, Ahmad.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me. Thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking some time and being with us. And let me just start by asking, are you able to stay safe and secure from all of the virus and things going around right now?
Oh, no doubt. I'm working at an essential business technically, so I'm going to work, but I'm just staying in my office, so I'm not interacting with anyone. I can do a lot of the work over the phone. But yeah, I'm staying pretty safe. I got a newborn. He's a little over 3 weeks old too as well, so I definitely have to make sure he's safe as well as my 8-year old at home.
Absolutely, man. We know you are busy and we appreciate you taking some time and being with us. And we want to talk about the Florida Gators right now. But before we do, I want to look back over your career and some of the fantastic things that you were able to achieve. And you are a Lakeland, Florida product, man. Born, raised, and had a terrific career at Lakeland High School, which might have the best mascot ever in the Dreadnoughts, but you were a part of this historic team and this historic program. What was it like to be a member of the Lakeland High School family?
Oh, it was definitely one of the greatest times. Being able to win some state championships out there and the mythical national championship back to back. So it was extremely fun to play with a group of guys that I got a chance to play with. The Pouncey twins, Chris Rainey. We had a fullback go to Alabama and Jamar Taylor. We had a tight end, Jordan Hammond, that went to LSU. So we had a great group of guys that was able to actually put up a few undefeated seasons. So to be able to win back to back state championships in the state of Florida is great and it's total honor. So
Once again, we're talking to Ahmad Black, former Florida Gator, Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and the co host of the Stadium and Gale podcast. Ahmad, you would finish obviously a historic high school career. You guys would be one of the best teams to ever come out of the state of Florida, and you would go on to commit to the University of Florida to play for Urban Meyer. And so, my question for you is this: what was it about Florida that made you know this was the place that you wanted to continue your academic and athletic career?
it's so funny. I always get asked this question, and so funny how I became a Gator. I had a bunch of scholarship offers, from Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Kentucky, Iowa, the list goes on, but I didn't get any from Florida, Florida State or Miami, so,
Wow.
Florida State showed a little bit of interest. I think that was more on the lines of they wanted the Pouncey twins and some of the other guys. Figured they could package deal us type deal. Who showed me the most love was kind of probably Alabama at the time and LSU and Ohio State as well. So it was out of those three, and I was confused about what I wanted to do. And Coach Castle out of Lakeland was kind of encouraging us to kind of commit before our senior year to kind of focus on that senior year and trying to get back to the state championship. So we all decided we were gonna try to commit before our senior year. So we wanted to do it the end of our junior year. So I was going to commit to LSU. I always wanted to go to college with one of the guys that I played at high school with. We kind of, didn't want to go by ourselves. We had a lot of guys that had a lot of offers. So I was going to commit to LSU. And I was going to do it the day before a Florida camp. So when I was telling my coach I'm not going to go to Florida camp, my high school coach, he was like, man, I think you should still go to the Florida camp. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm going to commit to LSU, so there's no point in me going. He was like, yeah, I understand, but, he's like, I still think you should go. And I'm like, all right, So I called up LSU to tell them I wanted to commit, and they were like, well, we kind of got, into a bind. We kind of want to take the scholarship from this guy before you commit. So we're not ready for you to commit just yet. And I'm like, oh, like, all right, that's like a slap in the face because I was like, dang, I thought y'all was on me hard,
Right.
So I go to the Florida camp the next day, and I just remember we were doing one-on-ones in the stadium, and Chris Rainey had already committed. He told all the schools from jump that, as soon as Florida offers him, he's committing. And he always wanted to be a Florida Gator, so that's where he was going to go. So we're doing one-on-ones in the stadium, and I just completely, locked up everything, and I was able to deflect some passes and intercept a few passes. And Urban Meyer asked me on the spot. He was like, "Hey, I'm offering you a scholarship. Take it or leave it."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Dang," you know what I'm saying? I haven't talked to my parents or anything about anything, So I'm like, I don't know what they're thinking and how this is gonna go. Mind you, I grew up a Florida State fan, so it was kind of weird. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I grew up with like a Peter Warwick and all those Florida State guys, and so I was like, man, I don't know. So as he's asking me, come on, let's go. What are you thinking? And I got Chris Rainey behind him, like, man, come on, man, come on. I'm like, all right, cool. So I ended up committing right then and there, and we were in Gainesville for the weekend. And I think the Pouncey twins were doing like the down the dirty camp or something like that, or doing something along those lines. So after we got done on the field and whatnot that day, we told Pouncey like, "Hey man, Ahmad committed too." They were committed to Florida State already.
Wow.
So the next day before we left, Coach Meyer used to always ask us, when we come up here, "Hey, see me before you leave." So before we left, we went to go see Coach, and he was like, "Hey, Ahmad committed yesterday, da 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 da," and doing the same thing Randy did to me the day before. I'm like, man, y'all might as well decommit and come here too. And I think that's when they did. I think they decommitted like the next day or something like that and committed to Florida, and that's how it was. And we ended up getting John Brown, who was the number one defensive tackle in the nation. He was also at Lakeland with us, and then we were able to bring on our wide receiver that was at Lakeland with us, Paul Wilson, and the other
Wow.
safety, Stephen Wilkes. So we had 7 guys from our class and our team from high school come to Florida.
Wow. Wow. That is crazy. First of all, that there's that much talent, and then you guys
Yeah.
absolutely live up to the hype while you're at Florida and have tremendous careers there. Now, your freshman season, you got a little bit of playing time here and there, but you really burst onto the scene your sophomore season where you were an all SEC selection. I remember watching you play early and thinking, who is this guy and where did he come from? But you went on and had a tremendous sophomore season and made a lot of big plays throughout the year, but probably none as big as your interception in the national championship game. What was it like to go through that experience of playing in the national championship game, winning the national championship, and being such a big part of that outcome?
It was so weird because it's so unreal because I went from like, I remember just walking up and down the hallways and, Urban, kind of, Urban was a kind of a manipulator a little bit, but
Yeah.
also, he made you want to run through a wall for him, and he taught us things that would be essential for life and how, the game of life
Right.
is going to be played. And he taught us things that we're going to take for the rest of our lives and teach our kids. And even in my everyday life, I find myself thinking about something that he told us back when I was 20, 21, 22 years old, and I'm like, dang, Coach did tell us about that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was hard on us, and my freshman year it was hard for me because I was getting adjusted, from being a big man on campus to not being a big man on campus. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And nowadays, guys want to go to college and get that immediate playing time, and this and this. Well, a little bit. It was a little bit different. Back about 10 years ago, guys were almost, automatically gonna redshirt as a freshman unless you
Right.
came out and told something that you were really different. And I didn't get the redshirt my freshman year. Sometimes I think about what if I did, because I only played in like 7 games or something like that. But
Right.
it was just some things had happened in the off season going from sophomore to from my freshman to sophomore year that kind of like clicked for me, and I just you became like a monster. And every time I put on that helmet, it was like war. I don't have time to keep me and play with you right now because we could do all that before the game, after the game. When I buckle my chin strap, it's war. I'm one of the most down to earth cool guys outside of football because I believe in have fun and
Right.
don't take things for granted, and I'm a cool guy. I smile, and but when we in between the whistles, I don't pardon my French, I don't give a damn about you,
Right.
literally.
Once again, we're talking to Ahmad Black. He is a former All American at Florida, played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for several years, and he is now the co-host of the Stadium and Gale podcast. Ahmad, I want to talk to you a little bit about this team that had such a tremendous outcome and the success that this team had as a complete unit. But there were some very different personalities in this group. Even guys on your team like the Pouncey twins and different players. We've not even mentioned Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez. Some of these guys with vastly different personalities, but yet somehow y'all were able to make this work on the field. So my question for you is this: how was this team able to stay so united and so successful despite having so many different personalities?
I think what it was, and that's kind of how this team right now reminds me of when we played, because Mullen has the same mentality and some of the same tendencies as Urban. Because that he kind of was Urban's understudy a little bit. But with all of us having this personality and that personality, and this guy does this and that guy does that, we all have something in common, and that's where we were very family oriented. And when we get around each other, it was just like we were family, and a lot of those guys in that locker room had the same mentality that I did. We go to war, and when we buckled our chin strap, we're in war, and we took our teammates as our brothers in war. So I got your back, you got my back, and we had a foxhole mentality that we would never let each other down, no
Absolutely.
matter what. So how hard things were. I mean, I'm telling you, the off season from my freshman year, 2007, going into 2008, was the hardest off season I have ever experienced in my life. Whatever team,
Right,
even if
right.
the next year, or going into my freshman year at Florida, I'm telling you, from freshman to sophomore year was the hardest ever. And we all linked arms and brought it together, and we told each other, we promised each other we were gonna play for each other, and that's what we did. And I just remember, sit back and thinking and talking to each other, man. It's like, if we don't win the national championship this year, we don't know what it takes, because we
Right.
that we just literally did the hardest thing we could ever possibly do going into our sophomore season.
Absolutely. We talked a lot about the team success, but you individually had a lot of success as well. You would continue to build on that sophomore season, becoming an All American and a multi year All SEC player. And I think maybe the perfect way to go out. Your final game was in the Outback Bowl against Penn State, and you had two interceptions in that game, returning one to the house for an 80-yard touchdown, and you'd be named MVP of the Outback Bowl. And then you would go on and get drafted into the NFL, but not just by any team, but you would get drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of your home state of Florida. And so, my question for you is this: what was it like to know that you were going to continue to play and, and continue your NFL career, ultimately your whole career in the state of Florida?
It's so funny because I tell the story and I love to tell it. Me being from Lakeland, that's 25 minutes, 30 minutes from Tampa. So usually people always like the team that's closest to them. Well, that's the closest home team. That's my favorite team. All right. Well, let me take it even deeper. My mom's sister. My mom has 7 sisters, and one of my mom's sisters was a swashbuckler, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers cheerleader,
Oh, wow.
5 years. All right. After she got done with that, she kind of flirted with on the staff and whatnot, with picking the team and doing the routines and whatnot for years after that. So all that time, she would always give me tickets to the games. It was a couple of times I was on the field. I got pictures of me, because she don't have any, well, has a son now, but she didn't have any kids back then. So I was like her son, and when they
Right.
had like team barbecue with our family barbecues with the team, and the cheerleaders could bring their families, she always brought me. So I have plenty of pictures of in the old, Houlihan Stadium. That's what it was called? The old sombrero.
Yeah.
The old Buccaneer Stadium when they wore the orange and white. I got pictures out there, and
Wow.
so me being able to get drafted at home to my favorite team was like, it was crazy. And I didn't have the longest career, but I was blessed to get the 3 years that I played. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think that was my destiny to go play for my favorite team in the NFL, get vested. I'm technically a veteran in the NFL. I played 3 years, got a great 401k, out of that. So I look at it like that. My kids and stuff will be taken care of.
Absolutely.
So at the same time, I got to play at the highest level ever of my sport, and I get shots all the time with dudes on Twitter and whatnot. Like, you only paid 3 years, man. You only paid 3 years. I just looked at a dude's stats, man, the other day. He played 7 years, and I had more tackles than him in three.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Man, come on, man. I did what I like to do, and at the highest level again. I got an interception in the NFL, at home in front of my home. You know what I'm saying? I got to do that,
Absolutely.
man. So
Absolutely.
I'm not feeling none of that at all. I enjoy playing football, and I don't owe the game anything. That's why I won't go play in an alternative league. I won't go play in this league or that league, because I feel like every time I stepped on the field, I gave it my 100% every single time. And I don't owe
Absolutely.
it anything. Now it's time for me to go watch my kids do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be a gymnastics dad or whatever my son want to do. Or, you know what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely.
my dad is. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm about right now.
Absolutely. And again, I find it funny anybody would take a shot at somebody that's had 3 years in the NFL. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's the 0.0001%. And it's crazy because people don't realize that the talent is so good that you can be equal with a guy that's got 10 years, but it really is about opportunity in that window, and just there's so many
Yeah.
little variables that are there
So,
that the guy that's 3 years and the guy that 10 years, talent wise, there's not much of a difference.
it's so funny because a lot of the people that say that, I'm like, yo, dude, no disrespect. Your favorite player that you cheer for every single Sunday coming out of college, his stats weren't better than mine.
That's right.
I guarantee you that. It's not too many people who got more interceptions and tackles for loss and interception return yards more than me. You may have more tackles than me, but not interceptions. You may have more interceptions, but not tackles.
Right.
I'm telling you, my stat line was freaking insane. Where where I got in trouble at, I'm not big, I'm not fast. Well, guess what the NFL like? Big and fast
Right.
guys.
Right.
Right? So if you ain't wow me when I get out the ball, there's not too many 5'9", 190-pound safeties in the NFL. Let's just get that clear. So when people say, "Oh, you only played 3 years," well, when you get cut, the only way to get back on the team is to what? Try out, right? You got to work
That's
out
right.
for that team, right? And I'm not gonna wow you doing drills and all that, and running the 40. I'm not gonna wow you doing that. I'm gonna wow you by pressing play.
That's
I
right.
play football. You see what I'm saying? So that's I had time to just sit back and think about. I'm like, dang, because I had a couple workouts. I had workouts with the Jets. I had workouts with the Colts, with the Redskins, and none of them picked me up. And I'm trying to sit back and figure out why. And I came to that conclusion. I'm not gonna wow you doing all that.
That's right.
But where I'm gonna wow you is, I ain't gonna run a 4.4 or 4.3, but I got a couple 80. I got 300, almost 400 yards in return yards. You
That's
ain't gonna
right.
find nobody doing it. And I ran a 4.6, 4.7.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's you make such a good point because where once you're looking for that next team, you're not gonna be the guy that's gonna blow you away at the combine or blow you away at the pro day type of
Right.
atmosphere. You're the guy that's gonna blow you away when you figure out how does this little guy keep locking down my 6'4" receiver, and
Correct.
it
Correct.
makes it a little bit more difficult as you go down. But man, I tell you what, nothing ever should take away from what you did, not only in college but also being able to play at the highest level. Now, I do want to ask you about Florida because after you left, it wasn't long before this team kind of fell on some hard times. They've had some ups and downs and some good years, some bad years, some bumps and some bruises. But what do you think about the state of the program right now and what Coach Dan Mullen is doing there?
We definitely swayed away from the standard a little bit, after the years that I left. We had some great teams and some phenomenal players, but we just couldn't get it together and mesh together, I should say, to where, we were back to that Gator standard. Coach Muller came in and brought that winning mentality back in. He's brought the family orientation back in to where he's got that his type of players in the locker room. And the guys
Right.
bought in. At first I remember being here when the coaching staff changed, and I was here up in Gainesville, and I can hear the guys like, man, I don't know about this, man, and we miss Coach Mack, and and now them boys want anything other than Coach Muller,
That's right.
because
Right.
he let them know, it takes a little bit of work to be great. I tell my daughter all the time, she's only 8 years old, and doing gymnastics and whatnot. I tell her, it hurts to be great,
That's right.
and you tell me do all of this and that, and all of that, and I've got to the highest level, that you could possibly get in my profession. I can help you, But I can
Right.
tell you right now, it's not gonna be easy. There's plenty of times we cried and we cried out there, and it's just, you know, that's what Coach Savage bring back to the University of Florida as well with Coach Mullen's coaching staff. That strength and conditioning, he was an understudy of Coach Nick, who was our strength and conditioning staff head coach. That's now with Urban. Well, I should say Coach Day over at Ohio State now. The Florida strength and conditioning coach now was under him, so they got a lot of similarities. They got these guys working, man, and like I say, I can't wait, and I'm so excited to see what this next season brings to the University of Florida. I know Coach Mullen has those guys pumped up, ready to go, and they're ready, man. This coronavirus got everything messed up right now, and hopefully it gets itself squared away, and we find something for it. And I pray all the families affected by it. I pray for you guys, and but yeah, I'm excited for the season.
Absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Ahmad Black, former All American for the Florida Gators, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and now the co host of the Stadium and Gale podcast. Ahmad, if you would talk to our listeners just a little bit and our viewers on the Dr. SEC TV network on Roku about the podcast that you're doing now. I think you're doing a phenomenal job. Could you just share with them a little bit about the podcast and where they can find it at?
You can find it on Apple Podcasts. I think it's on Spotify. Basically all major platforms that you get your podcasts on. But basically, what during the season, what we did typically is we brought in a Gator great every week. We record on Monday. The new show comes out every Tuesday morning. But we brought a Gator great on, just talk about their experience at Florida. Talk about what makes them become a Gator and whatnot. Because ultimately, fans, want to hear that type of stuff.
Right,
They know
right.
you can play football well. Everybody knows we can play football. That's why we play at these universities. We know we can play football, but tell us something that we don't know about you guys, and tell us something. Let us know about the guy that's in the helmet. And we try to give
Right.
guys opportunity for that, and get their name out there, because we know we got a lot of listeners still that listen to our show, and it's an opportunity to get their name out there and also help us. If they're doing something well, that to kind of get our name out there as well. But we'll talk about the game that we just had that Saturday before. Talk about the team that we're playing that next Saturday, and just give a summary about the team that we're playing, because that's what the fans want to hear. And we'll try to get a beat writer from the team that we're playing, so it's not so biased on our show. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because people don't want to listen to our show and just only hear great things about the Gators. If we play in Tennessee this week, we're gonna get a beat writer from Tennessee. He's gonna tell us all about Tennessee, their keys to victory, and how they feel like they can beat us and whatnot, and things like that. So we just try to make it fun and ultimately, give guys another platform to tell their story and let Gator fans hear about it.
Absolutely. And we want to encourage all of our listeners to go and check that out, because I didn't come across it till recently, and I've really listened to a couple episodes and really enjoyed it. Y'all are doing a fantastic job there. So I've got to ask you one more question now. This is your media member hat that you've got on now. Can the Florida Gators catch, Georgia right now is recruiting at levels they've not ever recruited at. They're kind of almost to that next level, not quite there. Is Florida going to be able to begin to make up that gap that's been there the last few years now?
We definitely can, and it's so funny because everybody hypes up Georgia in their recruiting, and they're spending way over budget.
Oh,
Than
yeah.
everybody else in the SEC. You get what I'm saying? And they have some great players, and Kirby's just done a great job over there with those guys, and completely turned that thing around from where Coach Rick had it, and Coach Rick had it in a great place. But he definitely stood up as over these few couple years. But as we talked about them, with their great recruiting class, and they beat us by 7 points last year. You got to remember too, I think we were coming down, and we were down by 4, I think, possibly late in the game. A receiver, it was a controversial catch. Remember that? I think it was like third time that he caught the ball. If that ball is incomplete, they kick a field goal right there. Now we're coming down at the end of the game down 3 with a whole different mentality. So, it was sloppy. The score looked like it was close. I think they manhandled us a little bit, more of that game. But, I think we definitely closing the gap. We got some great players that's coming in. And, again, I trust Coach Mullen and those guys to have these guys coached up and ready this year. And, We can't let these guys beat us again. But Georgia's gonna come and bring their A game. They always do.
Absolutely. Once again, one more thing before you go, and man, I appreciate you taking some time and being with us, sharing with us, man, some of those awesome stories about coming up and your perspective for Florida now as well. But can you allow our
For sure.
listeners to know where they can find you at on Twitter as well?
Yeah, my Twitter is Ahmad Ahmad Black Black 35. Again, that's Ahmad Black 35 on Twitter, and then my Instagram is Ahmad Black 3535.
Absolutely. And Ahmad, we enjoyed it so much, man. I'm telling you, if you ever want to get into media, you've got a real knack for it, and we'd love to have you on the show again real soon.
For sure, and like for all the listeners, if you're on LinkedIn as well, yeah, search me up. I'm trying to connect and try to learn the LinkedIn and get this business thing on the road. So, for anybody listening and they're on LinkedIn, connect with me.
Absolutely. Ahmad, we appreciate you taking some time and being with us. And again, we'll have you on again real soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.